The Carolina Hurricanes have announced their intent to match the offer sheet to Sebastian Aho. We'll get into what this means for them and what might be the next move for the Habs coming up next. Welcome back here to Top Shelf Hockey. Now we have breaking news out of the Carolina Hurricanes organization, which I didn't expect here for some time because they do have up to 7 days, but they've already announced their full intent here to match the offer sheet to one of their top players in Sebastian Aho that the Montreal Canadiens had presented and that he signed yesterday during free agent frenzy. Aho had agreed to an offer sheet at 5 years, around $8.5 million, where they would have had to give up a first, second, and third round selection should it have been made successful here. But unfortunately for the Habs, the Hurricanes have announced their full intent here to match. Now, Tom Dundon almost seemed a little bit insulted to think that other teams thought that he would not be able to fork up the $21 million in signing bonuses that would be due within the first 12 months here. But obviously he says that's not going to be an issue and that the Hurricanes definitely will match. But obviously, this certainly moved negotiations along quite quickly here between the Hurricanes and Aho. It had been reported they were a fair bit of ways apart on a contract, probably about $1 million and a half, somewhere in that range is what they were in difference on negotiations. So they'll certainly move things along here. I do give Marc Bergevin some credit for making the attempt. Although really, many people believe that really for this chance to be successful for any offer sheet, for any of these big-time RFAs, that they likely have to be in the $10+ million range to really make teams stop and think and consider the compensation. Otherwise, it's not really nearly as likely to be successful. However, when you get to smaller market teams like Carolina, and you have a contract that's really front-loaded with a ton of bonuses, it certainly can make it a lot harder on their budgeting to be able to pay that kind of bonuses every single year of the contract, whereas teams that are deeper pockets like Montreal and Toronto and the bigger markets, they can afford that. They have way more cash flow and way bigger budgets than a lot of these smaller market teams. So even though they spend similarly based on the salary cap, oftentimes you see very, very different structures in their contract. So obviously, this is going to be a case of Carolina not really wanting to admit that it's going to be really, really tough on them, but I do think it will be, and it certainly could impact other contracts or other spending that they might have to do here. They certainly didn't seem like they had much intent on offering a very bonus-laden structure on the contract. Now, it's been reported that Aho's agent has an excellent relationship with Marc Bergevin. He reps some of the players on the Habs already, so there's a lot of familiarity there. So obviously he felt it was in Aho's best interest to consider doing this type of move. They had reported by the Hurricanes here. Don Waddell said that they last had made an offer and were waiting for a counter offer, and instead were told that they weren't going to be getting a counter offer, that there wasn't going to be any of that for at least a little while. So they had concerns an offer sheet was coming, but they said they really thought it was going to be for more money when it was received. So they were a little bit surprised, but not really. But more than anything, they were surprised that it wasn't for more. So in all honesty, I think if the Habs really wanted Aho, they obviously would have had to go higher. The fact that they structured it the way they did certainly made that known that they were going to be trying everything they could here, but it just wasn't quite enough. Now, obviously, Carolina has up to 7 days to officially sign the paperwork here to say they're matching. I'm not quite clear when they're going to do that. Most teams you would think would take the full 7 days to tie up those draft picks to prevent the Habs from going after another player, kind of do their colleagues around the league a little bit of a favor here. So I'm not sure if that's going to be the case or not here. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be signed. Now, Montreal could still do an offer sheet for another player during this time while they're waiting for Carolina to officially sign off. But it would have to be for a different amount, the one like the larger one that would require 4 first-round picks. That they could do because they would have 4 first-round picks over 5 years, still not tied up with this other contract offer sheet that they tried here with Aho. So they could still go after another big-time player even while we're waiting for Carolina to complete that signing of the matching of the offer here. So I guess we'll see. Montreal, certainly a team to keep your eye on. Even though this didn't work out, they have lots of cap space. They're showing that they're being aggressive. Marc Bergevin, when he spoke to the media regarding all this, he basically said he answers to his owner, Jeff Molson. He answers to the fans, and it really does everything he can to make his team better, that he wasn't overly concerned about what his colleagues or other GMs would think or future repercussions or anything to that effect. And really, that's the way they should be looking at this. They got to do everything they can in their power here to make their teams better while they have jobs, or they're going to be at risk of losing their jobs. And this has been a tool in the CBA that I personally would like to see it used more. Instead of having this unwritten rule that you don't touch my players, I don't touch yours. Really, you're in it to win it. You're there to win the Stanley Cup. You're there to make your team better. You only have so much of a shelf life as a manager. Do the best you can while you have that opportunity. That's the way I would look at it, but I guess we'll see here, so certainly stay tuned for the Habs. I would not be surprised to see them attempt at least another big move, whether it be an offer sheet or a big trade or something to that effect. They have cap space to burn now, and obviously they're showing that they're being aggressive, so we'll see what their next move is. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section on the offer sheet being matched. And do you think we're going to see another big move out of Montreal to kind of replace what didn't work out here on this offer sheet? If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, all the breaking news, signings, trades, etc. So stay tuned to Top Shelf Hockey. I'll keep you all up to date with all the breaking news and all 31 teams. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.